6-time BET Sports Woman of the Year, Angel Reese, says she doesn't pay attention to what folks say about her online because no one has ever said a negative word about her in person. Uh-oh. So what have you been talking about for the last 17 or 18 months? Uh-oh. I hope she realizes she just admitted this and did so on camera with audio.
Yeah, I obviously don't worry about what's going on online. I get so much love in person. I haven't ever had a negative encounter in person ever. And I've been going through this for 3 years. I've never had an encounter in person that was negative. So people online are behind a keyboard for a reason, and I don't worry about that stuff. I trust my work. My teammates trust me. And I was telling Milla today, like, she felt like she was having a rough day. And I was like, how many times have I had a rough day? And you picked me up. So don't get down on yourself. I know my teammates have my back, my coaches have my back, and that's all that really matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself and my teammates.
Ariel Atkins pulled off the rare post-game plot twist. She asked the media to focus on basketball, then immediately turned into Angel Reese's hype woman like it was prom night, and Angel just nailed the runway. The game? Barely a footnote. This press conference had everything: drama, deflection, and a full-blown motivational speech. Was it a basketball recap or a TED Talk with defense stats? Either way, the mic was hot, the takes were hotter, and Ariel wasn't letting Angel catch any stray shade.
Whatever questions y'all got about our team, basketball-wise, we appreciate it, but all the other nonsense, it's irrelevant. We here to play basketball and do what we do. We having a hard time right now at the end of the day. Just a 23-year-old kid who handles herself with grace. Her crown is heavy. So whatever else, y'all want to come at her for the way that she acts, she has to build the wall. She has to have the wall. Because if she doesn't, people will break her down. Not only just because of the way she looks, but it's because of the way she carries herself. She knows who she is. And we ain't gonna break her down for that. So whatever other questions y'all got, I'm hoping it's just about basketball, maybe about...
So here we are, watching yet another episode of the Angel Reese saga, now streaming live from whatever alternate timeline she's currently narrating her life from. Because, let's be honest, at this point, following Angel's post-game explanations is like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions and realizing halfway through that the pieces don't even belong to the same set.
But also, guys, after that defeat by the New York Liberty in the post-game conference interview, Ariel Atkins had so many good words and words of affirmation to give and to provide to Angel Reese. Again, I loved it so much. She was like, how old are you? Angel Reese was like, I'm 23. She's like, this is a 23-year-old kid. Her crown is so heavy. Okay, she had to put that crown on her, adjust that crown on the queen. She's like, Angel Reese is, her crown is heavy. She has to deal with so much on the daily basis. Okay, on the daily basis, both online and offline, on the court, off the court, etc., etc. And Ariel Atkins just wanted to give her flowers and reaffirm Angel Reese, like, it's not all in your head. We understand, I understand that you're under a tremendous amount of pressure, stress, and somewhat abuse. Okay, if we're talking about the online things that's been going on, and allegedly some things that have been going on the court as it pertains to the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever season opener.
One night she's the misunderstood underdog, just trying to play the game she loves. Next, she's the unbothered villain, proudly feeding off booze like they're protein shakes. Fast forward to another media scrum, and suddenly she's a symbol of empowerment, who's just here to hoop. As if hooping explains away every flagrant foul, mean mug, and mid-game WWE audition.
Well, it looks like Angel Reese... Well, it looks like she's just been caught in what could certainly be taken as in a lie. All right? All these things that she says she has dealt with over the last year, all these encounters of racism. Remember the guy that was out there waiting for him supposedly, and when the team was coming out, and of course we saw footage of that, and there was nothing malicious to it whatsoever that anybody could see. And then of course the Indiana Fever fans were yelling racist things.
But here's the plot twist. When the stats are low, the stories get even lower. The excuses practically start doing wind sprints. She's allegedly injured, or fatigued, or silenced, or unfairly targeted. Yet the moment she drops a double-double, the tone flips harder than a pancake at an all-you-can-eat brunch. Suddenly, she's got all the smoke, all the words, and all the inspirational TikToks ready to go. You'd think she just won an Oscar, not scraped together a decent fourth quarter.
Angel Reese, the most coddled, babied professional athlete in all of sports, continues to be the most babied and coddled professional athlete in all of sports, continues to have her peers say, "You go, girl. You be unapologetically yourself. Don't worry how rude, how arrogant, and how disrespectful you are. Don't worry about all the lies that you perpetrate. Don't worry about..."
Because that's the pattern, isn't it? The better the box score, the bolder the backstory. When she's cooking, she's conquering the system. When she's struggling, it's the system cooking her. Every post-game becomes a choose-your-own-adventure book, except you already know which chapter you're getting based on how many rebounds she grabbed. And yet, amid the theatrics, there's one universal truth hiding in plain sight. Truth is easy to remember. Lies, however, need an entire production team to manage, and Angel, she's running out of stagehands. You can only reinvent yourself so many times before the audience starts asking, wait a minute, wasn't she the hero last week, or was she the victim, or the misunderstood rebel, or the bullied underdog? It's character whiplash. Someone get the poor fans a neck brace. What made this latest incident so rich, so wonderfully unhinged, is that it wasn't just another misstep. It was a full-blown truthquake, one of those rare occasions where reality ripped the mic out of her hand and yelled, "Ma'am, enough." Because this wasn't just a questionable take or a dramatized anecdote. It was a lie, not an oopsie or a miscommunication.
Directed at everybody, or is this a very special, specific kind of criticism that Angel Reese gets because of specifically the way she comports herself? And if her crown is heavy, maybe BET should stop giving her crowns. For the third straight year, named BET Sportswoman of the Year. I haven't even known who Angel Reese was for 3 years. How the does she have 3 of these? I didn't know who she was until I started watching Caitlin Clark. She's already stacking these things like cordwood. And it's not setting well with everybody. Clarissa Shields is one of the people that it's not setting well with. She's the baddest woman on the planet. The greatest female boxer.
And if we're all playing by the same rules, and that's a very generous if, then this should absolutely come with consequences. A fine, a suspension, something. Because if another player pulled a stunt like this, the league would have already posted the disciplinary action on their Instagram story. But with Angel, we're all supposed to treat it like a misunderstood poem. She didn't really lie, she was just expressing herself. Right, and my cat doesn't knock over cups, he's just exploring gravity. We're watching the league bend over backward to protect the plotline, while players like Caitlin Clark are getting ragdolled on the court like it's open tryouts for a Mortal Kombat reboot. Meanwhile, Angel's allowed to moonwalk around accountability like it's part of her training regimen. Call it what you want, strategy, PR, performance art. But this wasn't spin. This was full-blown tornado-level storytelling, and somewhere in Kansas, Dorothy is clutching her pearls. Let's not forget, this isn't her first rodeo with narrative gymnastics. No, this is a woman who has rebranded herself more times than a tech startup in Silicon Valley. One week she's the villain, embracing the hate. Next she's crying foul over being hated.
Don't worry about what's going on online. I get so much love in person. I haven't ever had a negative encounter in person ever. And I've been going through this for 3 years. I've never had an encounter in person that was negative. So people online are behind the keyboard for a reason. And I don't worry about that stuff. I trust my work. My teammates trust me. And I was telling Milla today, like, she felt like she was having a rough day. And I was like, how many times have I had a rough day? And you picked me up. So don't get down on yourself. I know my teammates have my back, my coaches have my back, and that's all that really matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself and my teammates.
You hear that, guys? You hear that? She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone other than herself and her teammates. So all those fans that she continues to let down, she doesn't owe you guys a damn thing.
And the best part, she doesn't even need to do all this. She's actually a good player. That's the real tragedy of it all. She's talented, athletic, and magnetic when she locks in, but the side quests keep pulling her off the main mission. Every game could be a statement of skill, but somehow it always devolves into a performance of persona. But here's the cold truth. Basketball, unlike narrative, doesn't care about your storyline. It doesn't care about your tweets, your merch, or how many times you've rebranded your public image. The scoreboard has no bias. And when the scoreboard isn't in her favor, the tales get taller and the spotlight gets hotter. And now that the light is catching every inconsistency in 4K, the mask is slipping. In this latest case, the lie wasn't even clever. It wasn't a misdirection, it was an insult to anyone with Wi-Fi and a memory. And while we'd all love to pretend that it was just an isolated moment of stress or pressure, it's part of a very clear pattern. Wherever the accountability line is drawn, she's cartwheeling over it like it's a floor routine. And yet, this is the exact moment where the league has to choose what kind of precedent it wants to set. If a lie this blatant doesn't trigger a consequence, then what exactly does? What message does that send to every other player who follows the rules, tells the truth, and still gets fined for breathing too loudly in a postgame?
Lie was so blatant, her bodyguards in the WNBA, they're not even willing to protect her. Instead of opening Twitter in another desperate attempt to capture the attention of lonely men, maybe Angel Reese should open the Bible. Now, I'm not talking about the woke Bible, I'm talking about the real Bible. If she did, she would understand that the truth always comes to the light, and she wouldn't be going through another devastating round of public humiliation. It has been a brutally tough week for the
Because at some point, this isn't about Angel Reese anymore. It's about the league's spine. Does it exist? Or is it just a decorative suggestion printed in the media guide? The irony is, this whole media storm could have been avoided with one thing: honesty. Not another dramatic plot twist, not another cryptic quote, not a fashion statement meant to distract the press corps. Just tell the truth. But instead, we got another clumsy dance around accountability, another monologue written in Sharpie on the back of a Gatorade cup, and another chance for everyone else to wonder why there's one set of rules for Angel and another for everyone else. And sure, we'll hear the usual defenses: she's young, she's passionate, she's misunderstood. But there's a difference between being misunderstood and being misleading. And when misleading becomes your default setting, maybe it's time to check the wiring. No one's asking for sainthood, just some consistency. Just one moment where the words match the actions and the timeline doesn't resemble a broken GPS yelling recalculating every 5 seconds. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't demand respect while sprinting from responsibility. You can't lecture the media about coverage while feeding them the script for your next performance. And you definitely can't bend the truth and then act shocked when it snaps back in your face like a resistance band.
She goes on and she talks about how she doesn't hear about the outside noise, how she's never had a negative encounter in real life, never had a negative encounter in real life. But Ben, there's no way. There's no way she's never had a negative encounter, you see? You see, this is proof of the negative encounter. The WNBA even conducted an investigation about this negative encounter. No way Angel Reese said that. No way she did.
At the end of the day, a fine or suspension isn't just punishment, it's preservation. It's about keeping the game honest, keeping the narratives real, and reminding everyone that the court still matters more than the cameras. Because when lies get a free pass, the game becomes the punchline. And right now, Angel Reese is delivering the setup, the misdirection, and the crash landing all in one breath. Because clearly, the New York Liberty didn't even waste a sticky note's worth of strategy on Angel Reese. You could almost hear the huddle. Reese? Nah, we're good. They defended her like she was holding a balloon, not a basketball. And why should they be worried? She's all bark, barely a dribble. It's not defense, it's indifference. A shrug wrapped in a jersey. And it worked. She was practically a moving cone out there. The only thing she consistently attacked was the camera. This whole saga has officially reached a point where calling her overhyped feels like an understatement. It's an insult to the word hype. Angel Reese is starting to look less like a basketball player and more like a TikTok algorithm gone rogue. She's the human equivalent of a trending topic. Loud, fast, confusing, and gone by next week. The obsession? It's less about skills and more about spectacle. She doesn't dominate games, she dominates timelines.
After the loss to the New York Liberty, when Angel Reese and Ariel Atkins at the post-game press conference, and The reporter was asking Angel Reese some questions. Angel Reese answered the questions, and then Ariel Atkins stepped in and she erupted and destroyed the reporter right there live on that.
And let's be honest, what are we all supposed to be seeing here? Because the Liberty saw her and just didn't care, didn't panic, didn't change the game plan. They guarded her like someone guarding a folding chair. Just stand near it and wait for it to collapse on its own. She got open, sure, but for what? To launch bricks like she's starting her own construction company? When you're getting cardio instead of buckets, you might need to rethink your purpose on the court. Meanwhile, fans are still talking about her like she's the second coming of Dennis Rodman mixed with Beyonce wrapped in a Hallmark empowerment movie. But here's the tea. You can't just crown someone based on vibes and viral quotes. Eventually, you've got to actually be good. You've got to justify the hype with something more than eye rolls and dramatic pauses at press conferences. And yet, game after game, Angel's box scores read like a Sudoku puzzle where nothing quite adds up. This isn't to say she's awful. She's not. She's fine. She's present. But that's the whole issue. She's mediocre, aggressively average, the kind of player who might shine in a summer league but evaporates under professional pressure. And there's nothing wrong with being average unless you're being sold as a generational talent. Then it becomes a problem. Then every missed layup becomes a question mark, every bad foul a full-blown philosophical debate, and every game against someone like the Liberty, an expose.
After bad losses, she sometimes publicly plays the victim. Racist comments were directed at her in the arena or especially on social media, and I don't doubt she has heard some in arenas and read a number of racist remarks on social media. And as I continue to say to all WNBA players, just don't read them. You're not obligated to read them. Don't allow them to imprison you. You don't have to read them. You shouldn't read them. You shouldn't allow them in your psyches. They're going to be out there. Don't seek them out. Don't let them come in to your house.
Let's talk context. The Liberty aren't just some random team rolling in for kicks. They've got all-stars, actual shooters, and a rotation that doesn't include hope and vibes. They knew exactly who to shut down. Caitlin Clark gets triple-teamed and tackled like she's carrying state secrets. Angel Reese? Wide open. That's how low the threat level is. And she still couldn't capitalize, couldn't impose, couldn't even make a case that she belonged in the same gym as the real ballers. But still, we get the think pieces, the tweets, the wild proclamations about her heart, her fight, her swagger. That's great, but we're watching basketball, not a poetry slam. Save the dramatic monologues for open mic night, because when you strip away the noise, the numbers are what matter. And right now, her numbers are a mess, a chaotic, slightly embarrassing mess. Like, did she play 30 minutes or just loiter near the paint type of mess? The irony is that the people who defend her the loudest are the ones setting her up for the biggest fall. They overinflate her until even a solid, unremarkable performance feels like a letdown. And when she actually underperforms, it's like watching a helium balloon deflate in slow motion. All that potential, all that press, and then thud. Another night of single-digit scoring and theatrical glances at the rim.
Can you be? How incredibly dumb can one person be? I know Angel Reese is pleading for sympathy. I know Angel Reese is begging for attention, begging to be noticed. I know ticket sales in Chicago are falling faster than Shannon Sharp's pants at Chippendales. Hey, it's me, Shay Shay. But I'm struggling to understand why Angel Reese would do this to be noticed. I'm struggling to understand why she would lie about something and continue to lie about something that is so easily disproved.
And maybe, just maybe, this is why the Liberty weren't worried. Because while everyone else was debating her impact on culture, New York was busy playing actual basketball. No need to overthink a matchup when your opponent is more headline than stat line. They treated her like background noise. Just Just loud enough to notice, but not significant enough to address, and it showed. They breezed by her like she was part of the halftime entertainment. So what exactly are we missing? Honestly, not a thing. The emperor has no handles. This is what happens when marketing gets ahead of merit. When we confuse controversy with capability. When we decide someone is important because they know how to clap back on Instagram. And suddenly, people are afraid to say the obvious. She's just not that good. Because if she were, you wouldn't need the excuses. You wouldn't need the entourage. You wouldn't need to manufacture drama to stay relevant. Greatness speaks for itself. Angel's resume so far is a PowerPoint with lots of emojis and very few achievements. The league gave her the spotlight, the fans gave her the mic, but she forgot her lines. And now she's improvising her way through a very public unraveling. And let's not pretend this is a one-off. This is the trend, the pattern. Big talk, minimal walk. She's out here performing passion while everyone else is performing basketball. It's a masterclass in brand building without the actual product, like launching a sneaker line before you've ever made varsity.
Angel Reese, her teammate Ariel Atkins, took it upon herself to address the criticisms that poor Angel has to deal with, the things that are said about her in the media, the things that she has to listen to on social media, saying this kid's crown is heavy. Talk about the people who've been unjustly maligned in history. I feel like it's 1-2 for me. I'm not sure who's first and who's second, but it's pretty clearly Angel Reese and Jesus Christ. How does Angel Reese handle it? If you don't want the criticism, maybe consider what the behavior is. Because
And the scary part is, we've normalized this. We've accepted vibes over value, press over play, and the Liberty, they called the bluff. They didn't just win, they were exposed. They put the spotlight on the truth everyone's been avoiding. Angel Reese isn't changing the game. She's not even tilting it. She's a warm body in a cold game, banking on hype to do the heavy lifting. But hype doesn't defend. Hype doesn't score. And hype certainly doesn't win games. So while she keeps dropping sound bites, the rest of the league is dropping buckets. While she's clapping back on Twitter, real players are clapping nets. And while her fans keep trying to explain what makes her special, the scoreboard keeps screaming not much. At some point, the world's going to have to stop pretending she's a storm and admit she's just a drizzle with a good